Well, good evening, Iowa fans. You see, I'm kind of scrambling last second here to get into this postgame show as we recap the Iowa women and their 68-48 victory over the BYU Cougars down in Cancun. And as you can see, I am missing my wonderful co-host, Kachine Alexander. I don't think Kachine would mind me sharing this. Her daughter is sick. And so a mother's got to do what a mother's got to do. So I am here, at least for the next 20, 25, 30 minutes prior to the start of our Iowa Hawkeye football postgame show with Coach Don Patterson. I don't know if you're like me. I had two screens going for the last 2.5 hours. And man alive, it might have been overstimulating for some people. If you're a Hawkeye fan, you probably loved every second of it. And I guess there's reason to love it when the Iowa women win by 20 over a Big 12 team away from home, in spite of being down their best player. And they're really only proven ball handler, right? Aaliyah Guyton comes in tonight, plays great. We're going to talk about that. And then on the football side, what a game. And Iowa won this game the way Iowa wins games under Kirk Ferentz. Nebraska loses the game the way Nebraska loses games as long as Kirk Ferentz is at Iowa. At least since Bo Pelini was there. Doesn't matter who the coach is. They lose games, especially against Iowa, the same exact way. Special teams, turnovers, last-second field goals. It's just uncanny. It's just uncanny. So happy for Drew Stevens. Dude's an NFL kicker. We're going to talk about football for better part of 2 hours. We're going to talk basketball at least for the next 20 to 30 minutes, but hopefully all the women's basketball fans can kind of understand why we have to pivot back over to football here soon. Not because the women's game does not matter, but because of the impact of the final Iowa football game of the season. It was senior day, the nature of that win over a rival. And of course, it's a rivalry game. I just threw the StreamYard link up in the description. Also put it in a live chat. So if you want to call in, provide your 2 cents, we're going to have to kind of go quick fire on the calls. And I'm going to kind of provide my recap, my thoughts on what we saw tonight in Iowa's 20-point victory over the BYU Cougars. But the StreamYard link is active. You can also call in. The number, 515-635-1601. 515-635-1601 is the number to call here at From the Hawkeye of the Storm. Again, the Hawkeyes defeating BYU 68-48 behind a really solid performance out of Hannah Stuelke, who made a pair of threes. How about that? We've talked about Hannah Stuelke needing to expand her game, especially if she's ever going to play in the WNBA. She was 2 of 3 from outside. Maybe that gets her confidence up. She's not been needed offensively to stretch the floor in Iowa games. But from a personal goals perspective, she needed this, and I think it will help Iowa in the long run. She goes 2 of 4 from 3, grabs 8 rebounds, 16 points. I think it might be her best game of the season so far. And I know it's not a ton of points, 16 points. But just the nature of how she got there. She was also 4 of 5 from the free throw line. And, did turn the ball over too much tonight. I'm sure she'd admit that. But she's going to be called upon as long as Lucy Olson's out. And hopefully Lucy's back by next week. They get a week plus off before they play Tennessee out in Brooklyn. It's a crazy schedule for these girls. You got to be happy for them. Lucy's got to get healthy. Of course, that gash on her leg that kept her out again tonight. But Iowa goes 2-0 in Cancun. Can't argue with that. Addison O'Grady, another solid double-digit performance for her. 12 points for Addison, 4 rebounds. Would like a few more boards from your big, but 4 boards, also 3 blocks. So she provided some rim protection, and she's always efficient. She was 6 of 8 from the field. You had Sydney Afalter, who's starting to look more like her old self, right? 10 rebounds today. I believe she had 9 yesterday, had 7 points, 5 steals, 4 assists. We should add that to our list here, because that is a stat sheet stuffing type of night from Sydney Afalter. And that is what we're accustomed to seeing with Sydney. And that's how she got her nickname, Sid the Kid, and why Iowa missed her so much during the first couple of weeks of the season. And then you have Aaliyah Guyton, who is really playing her second real action, right? She played late in the game against Wazoo on Sunday. Was very uncomfortable. In fact, she looked uncomfortable much of yesterday as well. But she's been thrown into the mix, trial by fire, thrown into the pool head first, into the deep end because of Lucy Olson's injury. She's playing extensive minutes. And how about Aaliyah Guyton tonight? 11 points, 3 of 3 from 3. That is incredible. That is not what I expected from Aaliyah Guyton. But I also started thinking about this during the game as I'm watching her knocking down these jump shots. She also hit a nice little jumper from the mid-range along one of the baselines. And I felt myself saying, it makes sense, because when a player is out for this long, they're limited with what they can do. And I've never torn my ACL, and certainly I was never a college basketball player, but I can equate to it to some extent. And I think back to when I had a major shoulder surgery, and the game that I love to play in the summertime was taken away from me, and that is golf. But once I got to a certain point during my rehab where I was at least able to be out and drive a vehicle, I was able to go out to the range, and all you're able to do at the range is putt. So my short game, at least during that span, I think I've regressed since. My short game was crisp by the time my shoulder was ready to go. And I wonder if that's not what's happened with Aaliyah Guyton. You wonder, how long has she been able to shoot in place, right? And so, I'm maybe reading into that too much, but what a performance. Back-to-back performances from outside from Aaliyah. And this is someone who still doesn't look real comfortable handling the ball. And that's what she's being asked to do. She had 5 turnovers tonight, 2 assists. So those numbers obviously are going to change once she gets more comfortable with the offense. But these have also been 2 very defensive-minded games collectively for all the teams involved. 4 boards also for Aaliyah on this night. Taylor McCabe made a pair of threes, big threes in that second half. She also had 3 rebounds. She struggled during periods of this game. And hopefully people can kind of see, I'm not taking shots at Taylor, but I hope people can kind of understand when they see a game like this against a Big 12 team, a physical BYU team, not an exceptionally talented BYU team, but it's a Big 12 program. Hopefully they can kind of understand more. For those that were frustrated by Kachine's comments about Taylor's game, they can kind of understand where Kachine's coming from. I thought we saw the lack of physicality from Taylor during much of this game, especially that first half, struggling to even handle the ball and dribble. She's going to be called upon to make jump shots, right? And she's not going to be, unless it's in the fast break, and Iowa's not running a lot with this team, she's not going to be called on to make shots off the dribble much, right? It's going to be catch and shoot. But maybe this will be good for her as well, because she was given an opportunity to struggle a little bit tonight with the ball, but she made a pair of threes to bounce back. Ava Hayden also gave him solid minutes. 5 points for Ava, 2 boards, 2 steals. Again, waiting for the official box score from the NCAA, so I don't have a final minutes count for Ava Hayden. You'd probably like a few more rebounds, but again, Iowa's bigs are shooting free throws well. Addison did not get to the line, but Hannah Stolke 4 of 5, Ava Hayden 3 of 4. A plus there, because Iowa's offense without Lucy is very post-oriented, and so that makes sense. Tegan Mullaney made 1 3 tonight, I believe. Yes, 1 of 3 from 3 for Tegan. 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Taylor Stremlow started again. I don't know. I don't know what to make of Taylor. She's being asked to do something just like Aaliyah, and in a sense, just like Ava, she's being asked to do something right now in her career that she's just not ready to do, and that's start and be called upon to play heavy minutes with the ball in her hands. Although I thought Jan transitioned today to a point where the ball was in her hands less, even though she started at the 1. Taylor McCabe's just not a ball handler at all. And so that's, I think, the reason some people ask, well, why wasn't Taylor starting in place of Lucy Olson? Well, you need somebody who can handle the ball well. So it's either probably Aaliyah or it's Taylor Stremlo. And Stremlo finishes with just 1 rebound, 1 assist, 3 turnovers, 3 personal fouls, 0 of 2 from the field. So she's not forcing shots. That's not who she is. She's learning the game. I would just encourage everybody to be patient with Taylor. She has flashed. And, I think she's got to find some confidence in her jump shot, because her high school film, she's not a jump shot. She's not a shooter, right? She's not Taylor McCabe, but she can make shots. And right now she didn't have a whole lot of confidence from outside or anywhere on the floor offensively at this point. And what did I miss? Feuerbach, 8 points for Feuerbach. She had 2 assists, 1 rebound, 3 of 9 overall. She made a pair of threes, which was big. She was 2 of 7 from 3, but made a couple, and that was big in this one. Points were certainly at a premium. Defensive-minded game. I'd be curious to get Kachine, and we don't have Kachine tonight, but I'd be curious to get her take on Iowa's defense, because they hold the BYU Cougars to 30% from the field. 30%. 7 made threes for the Cougars, good for 30%. But again, 30% altogether, including 2-point shots. And they made 9 of 10 free throws. Iowa made 9 of 11 from the line, but they dominated. Iowa dominated the glass 37-28. So they're +9 there. Iowa turned the ball over way too many times, especially in the first half. Actually, 23 for the game doesn't look so bad when you think about all the turnovers. They had 3 turnovers in the first minute of the game, and then they had like 6 turnovers in the first 3 minutes of the game. I mean, it was that bad for a stretch. They finished with 23 turnovers, but BYU turned it over 20 times. Iowa's done this 2 games in a row now where they're committing a lot of turnovers, but they're also turning their opponent over. I don't think that's a coincidence. You've got to give Iowa some credit for the pressure. These have not been the best offensive teams they're going to face. Let's just make that abundantly clear. Rhode Island and BYU are not the best offensive teams, but BYU is a Big 12 team. Iowa did the same thing to Virginia Tech. They did the same thing to Drake during a critical stretch of that game down in Des Moines here, a week and a half ago. And what game am I missing? Wazoo did the same thing to Wazoo for 2 straight quarters. So this is a trend. We talked about it. Oh, and by the way, Kansas in the first quarter up in Sioux Falls. So Iowa's defense, there's something different about it, and they're moving better. They're obviously rebounding better. They're protecting the rim better. Maybe that's all there is to it, but Kachine Alexander was an all-star defender at the Big Ten level. So now that we've got a bigger sample, it'll be nice to kind of reflect on things with Kachine when we get her back. And our thoughts are with her daughter, Juliana, as she deals with whatever she's dealing with. 16 assists to 8 for BYU. And let's see, Iowa, just 3 fast break points. Again, the fast break just not really part of this right now, especially without Lucy. So it's amazing Iowa's undefeated, right? 8-0, and in spite of the fact that they're really not getting out in the fast break, and we're seeing the stylistic difference between Lisa Bluter and Jan Jensen. But 11 of 23 from 3. Iowa shot 48% from 3. That's the biggest takeaway by far, folks. And we can look at this from a macro point of view and say they won 2 games without Lucy. That's wonderful. That's phenomenal. There's other things that are negatives, the turnovers and, the fact that Lucy didn't play, right? You want your best players on the court. But I think the biggest thing you take away from tonight specifically is the fact that Iowa shot so well from 3, because when you look at the sample size as a whole to this point in the season, that's what Iowa's not been able to do. They've won a lot of games, but they haven't shot the 3 ball well. Here's a game in tonight where they really don't shoot from 2 all that well, but they shoot 48%. Actually shot a better percentage from 3 than they did from 2. They're 48% from the 3-point arc with 11 makes. 82% from the free throw line, 48% from 3. And Lucy Olson's not some dynamic 3-point shooter. She can shoot threes, and they were missing her tonight. And again, courtesy of a 3 from Tegan Mullaney, a pair of 3s for Hannah Stolke, which is new for a lot of Hawkeye fans to see that. Kylie Feuerbach made a pair. A Falter did make 1. I think I failed to mention that earlier. Mullaney mentioned her. Guyton and McCabe combined for 5 of 6 from 3. 5 of 6 from 3 for those 2 players. So kudos to all of them. And by the way, that percentage from 3 included a late garbage time miss from Jada Gyamfi. So not that you don't count that, but they really 50%, right? They were 11 to 22 when it counted. And again, Iowa +9 on the glass. So lots of good there. The phone line is open, folks. We're only going to be here for at least probably the next 10 minutes or so. So if you want to call in, I'll put the number back up on the screen. We'll check the live chat. Hopefully that's a decent enough recap for everybody. And it's hard when you're looking at both screens. You're trying to watch one game. I had the football game on the big screen. I had the basketball game on the little screen. I don't know how to split screens when you're talking about Flow Hoops and NBC/Peacock. So we didn't even try to do that tonight. All right, let's see if we can find. There was a comment here at the get-go that I wanted to hit. Ringo brings up the Tennessee game. Yes, December 7th. They get 8 days basically off, though I don't know when they come back from Cancun, but it's a well-timed break. Maybe they'll stay an extra day and spend some more time on the beach, and that'll be a good time for Lucy. And I would think this is a good time for Aaliyah Guyton. She's basically 2 games into her career. Take a deep breath out and realize, hey, all right, this is a small gym, but we're playing Division I teams. In fact, we just played beat a Power 4 team, and I was a big part of it. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. She looked uncomfortable through her first 2 games, and now once you get that 2.5 mark point, she started to look like she was settling in, and so that's a positive. And Ringo brings up the 43 points in the second half. So even though Iowa only 68 for the game, keep in mind they scored 43 in the second, 20 in the third, 23 in the fourth. So very balanced down the stretch of this one as well. Yes, Kelly, thank you for reminding everybody, folks. We're not here real long. We'll be hopping over to football here in a few minutes. Hit the like button. Smash that button. It does help. These are busy nights. I'm not asking for sympathy whatsoever. It's what I signed up for. I enjoy it. Love it. All that good stuff. But this is a long night. Please, if you can't donate or support our sponsors, those are the 2 primary ways. Supporting sponsor really is number 1, right? Support our sponsors. That helps so much, and we're going to get to our sponsor here in a second. Donate if you can. Hit that like button. Hopefully that's just a prerequisite to everything else. Just hit the like button when you get here. Got about 400 people here. Folks, please, raise my voice just a second to get your attention. Please hit that like button real quick before you forget, and that will thank you in advance for doing it, because it does help us in the algorithm. A couple of comments here making me smile. Let's see here. Jason says he had 2 screens going as well. And Tyler brings up, yes, the 3-point shooting was the big thing tonight. And that's where you got to feel good. And I would think that's only going to fuel Lucy Olson to feel maybe a little bit of pressure taken off her shoulders. Not that Iowa was a juggernaut on that side of the court tonight, because they did struggle in the first half, scored, 25 points in the first half total. But then to see that offense start to flow and see players hitting shots down the stretch, that had to make Lucy feel pretty good from the sidelines. So let's go to our first. We got a caller here, I believe. Let's go to our caller. Thank you for calling from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Who's on the line?
Cory, what's shaking? It's Spencer. How you doing?
Doing good, buddy. How are you, Spencer?
Good. Been doing a little back and forth from that ridiculous Iowa game and checking ESPN app because I'm not paying $20 to watch them play. But we got some real teams coming up, and
yep.
Any concern with the scoring drought habits? I've seen it in the first couple of games. Go 5 minutes without scoring a bucket.
Well, this
crap needs to end here soon.
Well, Spencer, this team, just as great as this is, and it was great to see these players making shots tonight, I think we can all collectively agree this is not a great team without Lucy Olson. Now, I don't know that it's a great team with Lucy Olson, but I'm holding off on. I'm reserving my judgment until they get their best player back on the court. So I'm not concerned about the scoring. I'm not concerned about the scoring droughts. I'm concerned about not having Lucy Olson. There's a lot that comes with that. The fact that I was able to survive without her, and hopefully they just get her back next week. I would think the gash on her knee is healed in a week, in a day, and they get her back, and that's what you want. You want this type of experience, because who knows? She could go down late in the season. Now they've done it. They've proven it. That'll only help down the road. But they survived and advanced, and I'm not real concerned based on anything we saw this weekend. I think the defense was a breath of fresh air, because Lucy's also been one of their better defenders to this point, and Iowa played terrific on that end without her.
I'm not taking that away from tonight. There were some positives tonight, but I'm going off of Cash Money's tweet from last night, where she said that this team looks completely lost.
Well, they did.
Is a huge without her, which is a huge concern.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree with her. They did look completely lost for a good stretch of the game yesterday, but they never looked completely lost today. They struggled early offensively, but Spencer, wouldn't you think any team would look lost for a while when they're a bunch of young players and they've never played together without Lucy? And Sydney Falter had not been with the team due to injury for quite some time, and she's just getting her feet back under her. Aaliyah Guyton's she's being thrown into the mix to all of a sudden play heavy minutes, and they're also in a very foreign place. They've only played so many games away from home. I'm not trying to excuse that, but I think that's sort of par for the course when you deal with the situation like they were dealing with.
No, I'm not taking any of those kind of excuses from tonight.
Okay.
With being a young team, bunch of freshmen, and being on a neutral court. Because think back to when they played at the Sanford Pentagon in the first half of Kansas, they were struggling because it's obviously a neutral court.
Okay.
And it takes a lot to overcome that.
Well, they've overcome it 8 times now.
Well, yeah. A little nerve-wracking, too.
They have overcome it 8 times. I'm just saying they've overcome it 8 times. So maybe the identity of the team is changing, and I can see why that might make a person uncomfortable. I'm not saying they're going to become a defensive juggernaut, but, I've been saying it for several weeks now, Spencer. What I want to see is this offense to just slowly make strides. And if you can keep winning during that maturation process, good on you. That's what they're doing right now.
And the first test comes next weekend with Tennessee, right?
Yes, they get a Tennessee out at Barclays Center out in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's going to be our true first test because it's about to get real with these good teams in the Big Ten, too.
Absolutely, sir. Anything else, Spencer?
Nope, that's all I needed.
All right, buddy. Thank you for calling in. Always enjoy your calls.
Yep, thank you, Cory.
Thank you, sir. All right, good call from Spencer. Appreciate that. D. Rolofson, are Kyle and Don going to give us football insight with Cory focusing on the hardwood? No, I'm going to be pivoting over to football in like 5 minutes. So if anybody wants to make a last-second call, you're welcome to do that. Well, we've got somebody. Let's go to Tom. Tom, you're calling in. Are you on the road, Tom? Please be safe. Are you driving, Tom? Don't do this. Don't do this to yourself, Tom. I can't hear you, Tom. You're muted. Let's get you unmuted. Can we unmute you first? And by the way, to George Washington,
how's that?
It's good. I wouldn't normally respond to people that just want to be dumb, but we really don't care about basketball. Where's the football show? There's about 400 people watching right now, President Washington. So moving along. Go ahead, Tom.
Cory, I gave up on the football game at 10-3 when they couldn't punch it in from the 4-yard line.
You gave up at the wrong time, Tom.
That's all right.
You gave up at the wrong time.
So then I turned your program on and you said they won. So we'll listen to how it all worked out later. So
you might listen to it. Yeah, that's worth listening to.
Cory, I'm impressed with this Iowa women's basketball team.
You have reason to be impressed.
Impressed,
Tom.
I'm not telling you they're the number 1 team in the country, but
you're not. And it's certainly not without losing.
There's
a lot of teams that they would have lost to yesterday and plenty of teams that would have lost to tonight, even with the defensive performance, because they were not good for a good stretch. Sometimes you play as bad as they did at times in that first half, you're going to shoot your way out of a game. But they did well enough against who they were matched up with.
So the other day I watched the Iowa Drake game because I didn't watch it live, and I was just impressed with her. She's a big addition. She's a damn good player.
Absolutely.
She may not be able to hit the threes like we've had in the past, but she gives us a lot. And I've been watching O'Grady. I don't know why we weren't getting a little more of that. Of course, she didn't play a lot last year, but she does give them bigs a problem down inside. Now, it'll be interesting as we meet up with some bigger teams,
I believe that this has always been in her. I don't think there's anything different physically. It's all up here. And now that this is her, she is the
right
inside. It's because I think the system change and what's around her, they're not asking her to run as much, and she's more comfortable in this role. I think she's got the confidence that she's ever had.
So, when Caitlin was running the team, it was just a different It's two different style teams, completely different.
Yes,
You know.
you're correct. Absolutely.
No, Corey, I'm baling corn stalks. And so, are you going to be able to keep me up all night? I've got 1,000 to do, and I'm only at 200 right now. So,
are you on a machine? Is it moving right now?
No, I've got it in pause right now. I really didn't expect you to answer right away. You know,
I am,
but
because I've got to move along, and not moving you along. I got to get over.
Well, yeah, and so I'll be here all night. I'm not going to call in on the football show because that's way too damn long to wait to get into that thing. So you know, and Corey, I was looking back. You got just as many viewers following your women's programs now as you did a year ago.
I think it's more. I think it's
could
more.
Be.
Maybe if you're comparing now to the March Madness run, but regular season.
No. I went all the way back.
Okay, well that's kudos to.
It's still a solid.
It's not just kudos to Kachine. It is, but it's also kudos to the program and how invested, locked in the fans are. So
yeah, I did watch Iowa State yesterday. Ugly.
And that's 3 straight. I mean, I played South Carolina, who was angry with that loss to UCLA, but that's also that's also an Iowa State team. They've really struggled against Drake and lost pretty handily to UNI. Yeah. So they're beatable right now. And Iowa got an early look at Audie Crooks tonight. Did you like that?
Yeah.
They got an early look at what's her name, Gillespie for BYU, who looked like a Audie Crooks. Anyways,
it'd be interesting what the odds are. Be close. I think they're going to be close.
Iowa will be favored.
Yeah.
Yep. And I would have said that at the beginning of the season, but I think Iowa absolutely will be favored in that one.
All right, Corey, I'll let you go. I got to get to bailing.
Appreciate it.
Catch you later.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, Doug brings up, hopefully Lucy's back for the Iowa State game would be huge. Let's see here. Appreciate Basketball Rocks for being here. And Kevin, thank you for making it. You were also traveling early, so appreciate you traveling safely and getting on here. And let's see here. Nicholas brings up Lucy being back will help the turnovers. Yes, it will help the turnovers. And did I miss something? No. Spot, thank you for reminding everybody to hit the like button. Again, if you're interested in donating, I know it's a quicker show tonight. You can do so. Super Chat, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. It's all in the description. All right. Please don't overlook that or think that your couple of dollars or whatever you're able to give doesn't make a difference, because it does. And please support our sponsors. All right. Of course, throughout the season, we've been talking about our good team of sponsors. But if you're new to the show and you don't know how this show is in existence, it's because of the good people that we work with. All right. One being Ascent Nutrition. And Ascent's got a Black Friday special that, by the way, is still going on. This is going on through next Tuesday. So you can still take advantage of this, folks. Benefit your respiratory system, your immune system, help your gut function. Both of these products benefit your brain clarity, help you to think better throughout the day. This stuff is organic. It's wild harvested. And this company, Ascent Nutrition, is owned by a Hawkeye, all right? Lance Shuttler graduated from the University of Iowa. This is a company with exceptionally strong Iowa roots. Read all about the benefits. I just implore you to go over to goascentnutrition.com/Hawkeyes and just read about some of these benefits and the testing that these products have undergone. This stuff is taking the world by storm. Visit goascentnutrition.com. Use that code Hawkeyes20. All right. The code was Hawkeyes15. It's now Hawkeyes20 at checkout for 20% off. Offer valid through Tuesday. The code Hawkeyes20 at checkout for 20% off. And you see their this bundle right now is their pine needle extract and their humic and fulvic acid, their detox bundle. And again, you can read all about it. goascentnutrition.com/Hawkeyes. Use the code Hawkeyes20 for 20% off. We appreciate Lance for being, once again, part of this show. Bryce, are we talking Iowa football? Yes, different stream. In fact, here's what we're going to do. Just so everybody's aware, I'm going to go ahead and throw up the link to the other stream. All right. I know this is kind of confusing. We don't often do this type of thing, but given the circumstances tonight, I figured we would. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in all caps for you. All right. In the live chat. Football show is there. Let's make sure we get it in there. No, it's not in there yet. Now it posted. All right. There it is, folks. Football show. Click that link. You'll see me over there. Again, the women defeating the BYU Cougars. They'll head home undefeated before their trip out to Brooklyn. Iowa defeating BYU 68-48. That's 68-48 the final. Be sure you join us in just minutes from now over on the Iowa Postgame with Coach Don Patterson stream as we recap Iowa football's victory, last-second victory over Nebraska. We'll talk to you in like 2 minutes.